Well, I am so thrilled to be joined this morning by Chef Kwame, who you might know from the James Beard award-winning proprietor of the incredibly popular New York restaurant Tatiana. And again, as a reminder, we'll be opening up to audience questions at the end of this session, so start thinking now. Okay, Chef Kwame, we're all here at Cannes.
Yes.
It's Thursday morning at a marketing festival, and you're a fine dining chef. Why are you here?
I don't know. I'm out here. I did an event last night on a yacht.
Okay.
So I'm a little hungover. It was a lot of fun. It was for Harborview. It's a company that buys music publishing rights. So yeah, we did an event. It was Wyclef Jean and Anderson .Paak performed on the yacht, and it was a lot of fun. But I'm here to talk about marketing, I guess. I don't know. You tell me, why am I here? Why am I here?
Well, I think we're about to find out.
Okay.
So, your flagship restaurant, Tatiana, it's one of the hottest reservations in town. I could not get a reservation in New York when I was there. So, tell me, why is it so hard to get a table there? And,
So
and
that's
be
why
real.
I'm here. Okay.
Be real. Yes, that's why you're here. But be real with me. What's the best strategy for someone in this room who wants to go eat at Tatiana?
I don't even know how people get reservations, honestly. I know at one point they were like reselling them online, like for like $1,000. Like, it's crazy. Like scalping restaurant reservations. These kids created these bots that would go and buy the reservations, and then there was like on the dark internet, excuse me. You can go and buy reservations at Carbone or whatever, and that's how a lot of people got them in the beginning. But we put an end to that. You know, we had to work with the companies like Resi and stuff to like block those things. People stay up all night, and then as soon as it goes online at like 12:01, it's 30 days out, they just go. So I think the best way for me, what I always tell people is come and stand in line, especially in the summer, because we have a whole patio that doubles the size of the restaurant, and we reserve those kind of for walk-ins. And a lot of people don't understand how small Tatiana is. It's only like 65 seats, so those reservations go pretty quickly. But we do save a lot of space for walk-ins because we understand how hard it is to get the reservations.
Yeah, so you're making room for people to have a fighting chance.
Exactly.
Yeah. So clearly Tatiana was such a hit. People are selling reservations to get to eat there. Mm-hmm. And we're at a marketing festival. Mm-hmm. What was your marketing strategy when you opened the restaurant?
Just be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we had a marketing strategy per se. It was, focus on looking good in the mirror, is what I say to my team. It's like, you can't lie. So like, we have to think we are good, more importantly than anything else. I think at the time, there wasn't a lot of Afro-Caribbean restaurants doing fine dining. So we were definitely a niche. But we were authentically ourselves. I used to remember, because the music's pretty loud in Tatiana, and you can hear anything from like DMX to Lauryn Hill at any point in the night. And there were patrons in there. They were older. They go to the opera, so you can imagine what they look like. And they were like, "Can you turn the music down?" And I was like, "Do you tell them to do that at the Philharmonic?" And they were like, "No." I was like, "I'm not turning the music down. It's supposed to be loud. Like, I like music loud." And also, I used to put it loud because people would always stop me and want to talk. And I'd be like, I can't hear you. I got to get back in the kitchen, So there was like, but we were just authentic, and people would come in and say like, "Can you turn it down? Can you turn the lights up? This is too spicy." We'd be like, no. There are 20,000 other restaurants in New York City. We're so happy that you're here. But if you don't like the way we're doing things, you can go somewhere else. It's okay. And that's fine too. But there wasn't this big marketing strategy. There wasn't like, I got to post about this and, we got to look at this feedback and, oh my God, this critic's coming in. It was like, we're just, we're a restaurant. We serve dinner. It's not that serious, And we didn't take ourselves too serious. We still focus on the craft, don't get me wrong. We focused on great service and things like that, but we just didn't take ourselves too serious, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Yeah. And I think that is in and of itself a marketing plan. Like when people are taking themselves too serious, and I would tell my team, I'm gonna be hard on you, cool, but like let it go after that, because we're not a soup kitchen. Nobody that's coming here is starving. They're here to experience something. And as long as we're making them feel something while they're here and feel seen and taking care of them, and that's the most important thing, because we're just serving dinner at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's food, and I know that you have worked at the same time. You've worked in some of the most elite kitchens in the world, hollowing out eggs.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you fed people on an oil spill cleanup boat. So how does that range in experience influence the way that you think about food and hospitality?
Yeah, I think it gives me a wide outlook at the culinary lexicon. You know what I mean? It allows me to focus so much that we have the #1 restaurant in New York City 2 years in a row, while still, if we're just serving dinner, guys. Because I've been in different scenarios of cooking, whether it's during COVID, cooking for the community, free meals, first responders, or being on a cleanup ship in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, cooking for the oil cleanup crew, to cooking at Per Se in Madison Park. Like, I've seen a whole range of people eating at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, it's like people are meant to enjoy their meal, not always critique every little thing, and most of us chefs got into it because when people took that first bite and they smile, like that feeling is so important to us. So I think that range has allowed me to have a different viewpoint on the culinary industry.
Yeah, and I read your memoir. It's amazing. And I'm really fascinated by sort of your origin story. You sold candy on subway trains to fund your business too when you were starting out. What did that teach you about hustle?
It taught me a lot. I mean, it taught me that I can do anything I put my mind to. That was like a string of different hustles that didn't even work out. That was like my last hope. Yeah. When I was younger, I used to sell like weed and things like that. That was cool. But then I was like, man, I want to be better. I saw Barack Obama cross the stage and become president, and when I saw that on TV, I was like, oh, I can do anything I put my mind to. And I wanted to start a catering company, but I didn't have the capital or anything. So my first idea, I bought, I think it was like 3,000 glow sticks, and I was like, if I can sell these things for $5 a piece, I am going to be rich. And I went to Times Square, and surprisingly, nobody wanted glow sticks. I was like, I feel like this is a sure thing. So I was like, let me go to Williamsburg, where the raves are. And no one was really interested in glow sticks. So I had so many glow sticks just sitting there. I used to like play with them, empty them all out into a cup. It was like a glowing cup of thing. It was just like, what am I gonna do? And I was on the train coming home from work one day. Then I got a real job as a server. And there was a kid selling candy on the subway, and he made $5 in like 2 minutes. I watched him, walk through New York City in the subway, and shit, I want M&Ms every now and then. If I see him, I'm like, I'm gonna get a pack of M&Ms. So I was like, holy shit, he just made like $5 in 2 minutes. I was like, what is an hour of that? I was like, what does an 8-hour shift of this look like? And I was like, oh hell no, I'm going to Costco. And I went to Costco, and I used my last money I had from this stupid glow stick debacle, and I think it was like $100. I think 50 went to a membership, because I was like, oh, I didn't even know you needed a membership here. I thought it was just a store. And then I bought candy. I hit the subway, and I was like, I'm gonna devote my time and energy to this. I quit my job, and I was out there for like 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was like, these kids are not gonna out-hustle me, I'd say that much. And I did that for about 2 months, and saved up enough to start my catering company.
Rumor has it, too, you still have those glow sticks sitting somewhere.
Probably in one of my storage units, for sure.
Something that you mentioned is like storytelling and storytelling through food being really important for you and for your restaurants. And you've just opened Maroon in Las Vegas as well, and it's named for the Jamaican Maroons who escaped British rule and built their own communities in the mountains. How does that story fit into Las Vegas?
That's a great question. Las Vegas, I feel like, is a blank canvas. Because, I mean, if you're out there, it's like a simulation. We're in the desert and buildings are larger than life. There's a giant orb, in the middle of it. It's like wild. So I was like, but there are also people that live there that make up, that keep it running. I equate it to like, New York and Tatiana. I created a restaurant that was like for New York, for New Yorkers. The people that built the city, all the different immigrant stories. So I looked at Las Vegas and I was like, how can I bring something here that they don't have, which is hard to do in Las Vegas. Yeah. They have everything from everywhere, You can go there and you can try any restaurant in the world that you love is in Las Vegas, from all the different cities from around the world. And I was like, damn, I know what Las Vegas wants. They want a Tatiana in here. They wanted just a bigger version of that with louder music, darker. So I was like, I want to give Las Vegas what they need. And they need an afro-caribbean restaurant that's theirs. That's just not a transplant. It's not the B choice of whatever restaurant I have. It's something that really means something. So in that, I'm like, okay, now I have to figure out how to make this mean something to me. And then I remembered that I visited the Blue Mountains and the Maroon people. And we dug a jerk pit, and they showed me like how they used to, hide their location while escaping the British. And they built these pits and put some coals and got a wild animal and rubbed it with like allspice and thyme and whatever chilies they had, put it in there and covered it with banana leaves immediately so the smoke wouldn't reveal their location. And this is how jerk cuisine was born. And I was like, damn, that is incredibly... Like, it's crazy to think we just take it for granted. We poured jerk sauce on shrimp, and we got jerk shrimp. And, like, they were escaping slavery for freedom. So then how does that go back to Las Vegas, right? So Las Vegas is, steakhouse city. There's, 20 steakhouses, I think, in one casino. There's, literally 20 different steakhouses. So I wanted something that Las Vegas can also digest, and they can digest a steakhouse. They can get with that.
Yeah.
But make it Afro-Caribbean. Tell the story of the Maroon people. And there's Maroons all across the world. The most famous one's probably in Haiti that had the biggest slave rebellion. That ended up freeing the whole island. I just thought it was a story that can continue being told through different iterations, and also just give something that Las Vegas needs, for the soul, and I think that's what we've achieved there. People feel seen. It's crazy. I'm the first black chef to have a restaurant, on the Strip, which is wild.
Incredible.
To me. It's wild.
Incredible.
So yeah, that's that. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, no, I think you did. I think we got there. You built Tatiana for New Yorkers, as you just said, and you've talked about wanting to make fine dining more inclusive and less intimidating. What felt so broken to you about the fine dining scene that you wanted to fix?
I don't know if I feel like it's broken. I think it's doing pretty damn well. I wanted to add to it. That's all.
You wanted to add to it.
I think the brokenness is in, the eye of the beholder. Can there be more people of color doing this? Yes. Can there be more people of color in the kitchens? Can there be more women leadership? Absolutely. I wanted to add to it. That's all that I'll say, because I come from this industry as well. And I've been through my trials and tribulations, as you read in my book. But for me, it was just adding to it, adding my culture to it. And hopefully people enjoyed it, and that's all that you can ask for when you're putting yourself and you're being vulnerable.
And at this point in your career, you've opened several really successful restaurants, but it wasn't all smooth sailing from the start. Your restaurant, Cha Bijou, it closed after a few months. Take me back to that moment. What did that feel? Oh, no. But what did
Take me back to that moment.
What did you...
If you were abused as a child, take me back to that moment. No.
What did you learn from it then? We don't have to go back too far, but what did you learn from it?
I was doing an interview the other day on Bloomberg, and they were like, "So tell me about the Shaw Bijou, like that failure." I was like, "No, it's a lesson. It's not a failure. I didn't murder
Tell me
anybody.
about the lesson.
You know what I mean? Like I created jobs for people, so it's not a failure to me. Also, I was so young. I think it's part of success. You know, most people are successful. They're just the ones that didn't stop. You know, they kept going. You have years that you win. You have years that you don't, or you learn. And I think you have to just chalk that up to the game. Yeah. Back then, it was my first restaurant that I was leading. I was a line cook. A year before. Went on national television. There was a lot of attention on the restaurant, and I think that there's many reasons why it didn't work out. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and financially it didn't work out, and that's why we couldn't keep it going. Yeah.
And speaking of businesses, your memoir is being now turned into an A24 film. You've curated the menu for the Met Gala. You've been on TV shows. At what point does Chef Kwame become bigger than your food? And do you consider yourself more of an entrepreneur or a chef?
Both, yeah. A chef is an entrepreneur.
A chef is an entrepreneur.
Yeah, because we're not, like I said, it's not a soup kitchen. We're in it to have profit. At the end of the day. Yeah. At what point does Chef Kwame become bigger than the food? I think if you're a decent chef, you're always bigger than the food, in a sense. You're not bigger than the food.
Okay.
But people also come because you are cooking the food.
Right.
I think if you have a dish blindly from someone, and then the same dish, I probably kid you not, it could be like 2 glasses of water, and I was like, hey, this is from Joe whatever.
Sure.
This is from Gordon Ramsay. You're gonna be like, oh shit, Gordon Ramsay water. You know what I mean? It's just normal. If I'm having pasta, right, in Brooklyn, and then I'm having pasta in Lake Como, you would just be like, this is more delicious just from the terroir. And I think it's psychological. You know what I mean? So I think the idea sometimes is bigger than the product.
It's all part of the marketing and the selling as well.
And the branding.
Yeah.
But we're never bigger than the food. The food is what got us here. But, I don't know. I've done events that I didn't think went really well, and they were just happy to be eating my food.
What's one of those events?
I'm not talking about it.
I had to ask. You mentioned Gordon Ramsay. Other than your own restaurants, other than yourself, what chefs are you paying attention to right now?
Paying attention to. It's hard to pay attention for me. Honestly, I'm so busy, I'm so busy with the restaurants. I don't really have my ear to the ground of what's going on. I don't watch cooking shows or anything like that. And I'm a creature of habit, so I go to the same restaurants.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have your comfort spots.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I want to go back to your memoir.
Okay.
Loved this book. I devoured it. In your memoir, you wrote that you live with the contradiction between what this country says it is and what it really is. And in July, we have America's 250th birthday coming up. What does that contradiction mean to you today?
The hard fucking question. Was the last one
Are you regretting it?
Are
you regretting the
LinkedIn and Snoop Dogg? Last one. How much time we have left? I think today's America looks a lot different than when I wrote that book. This was pre-Black Lives Matter, It was totally different. I was very criticized for talking about racism back then. Within my own industry, by chefs. I was criticized, by the press. I was criticized by my peers. So today, I was criticized by the place that I worked, that it said black on the cover of my book. So they took what is it called? There was I don't know, little ad cards.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to put these out so people buy my book. They're like, no, you're making the hotel guests uncomfortable with the word black. This is before.
Wow.
I know the media has changed today, and you know what I mean? You remember that shit? It was not that long ago. So it's a lot different now. And that's what I meant back then. It's like what people are promoting is not what it is. I think it's changed a lot, and we're able to talk about it. But, at the same time, we're cutting DEI budgets for things, and we're trying to remove our history. We still have Confederate monuments up, while celebrating the 250 years of America, but not really celebrating the people that have perished for America being, created. So I don't know, it's a lot, but that's what I mean. It's like, patriotism is a touchy subject now because it's also, hidden under the veil of racism. But we still want to be proud Americans at the end of the day. So it's like you have to talk about both, or address both, and not erase our past, as ugly as it is,
What is the American?
Let's get an easy question.
Let's get an easy question. I mean,
Skip the next one you're gonna ask.
Oh.
I feel like, yeah.
I have one more, and then we can go to a fun one. But you have to answer this one first.
Okay.
What is the American dream meant for you?
The American dream for me is taking care of my family, being comfortable, and doing what I love. I think that is the American dream. There's not a dollar amount associated to it. There's not an accolade in the world associated to it. I don't know. It's like really being with my family, being genuinely happy, and then also like not having to worry about like finances, while still doing what I love.
How do you take care of your family?
How do I take care of my family? In what way? Like?
Well, you mentioned that you feel like that is, your way of feeling like you're successful, you've achieved the American dream. What do you do for them?
I help financially with them.
Yeah.
I mentor, spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a good authoritative figure when I get back to the house, Put that down, things like that. I'm that guy.
Do you bring your kitchen personality home?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. I have to tone it down sometimes, for sure. I have to check myself, which my partner loves telling me. I take care of them in so many ways, but honestly, they take care of me. They give me life, more so.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to move into a lightning round. So fast questions.
Okay.
Here we go. This is what you've been waiting for.
I have.
Yeah. Okay. I understand you're a Harry Potter fan.
Oh, yeah.
What house do you belong to, and what does that say about you as a chef?
What house do you think I belong to?
Oh.
That's a better question.
I think I'm getting slight Slytherin vibes.
I'm kind of offended by that, honestly.
No, it's in a good way. It's in a good way.
What about you? What do you think? You were shaking your head when she said Slytherin.
No, you're not Slytherin.
No.
Gryffindor would be too, bookish. Ravenclaw?
Ravenclaw. Well, first of all, fuck you. Okay?
Thank you.
I'm a hero, all right?
So you're Gryffindor.
I'm Gryffindor all the way.
All the way.
Yeah. We can edit that out. I see them giving me bad looks over there. Is this live? Okay, good.
If Tatiana was a member of a Hogwarts house.
My sister?
The restaurant.
Oh, I'm about to say, she's Hufflepuff for sure.
Oh, okay.
If Tatiana would probably be Ravenclaw, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah?
It was just a good opportunity to say that. That's all.
Yeah. Your memoir's being turned into a movie, too.
Yeah.
Who would you cast as yourself?
I don't know. That's the crazy thing. We're trying to figure that out now. And I don't know. I really don't. It's a hard thing to choose.
Do you have any say?
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah.
Okay.
It's I would hope so. I mean, it's just a hard thing to choose. and I haven't come across anybody that I'm like, that's it. You know, when we started, it was like Lakeith Stanfield was supposed to do it, and it made so much sense. But this was like 12 years ago. You know, so like, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe when you'll know when you know.
You'll know when you know.
You'll know when you know.
Yeah.
What's the one dish that you've never been able to get exactly right? None.
One dish I haven't. No.
All of them are perfect.
That I've never been able to get right. I'm gonna get it right eventually. I would hope so. You know what I mean?
What dish took you the longest to get right then?
The longest?
Yeah.
The longest to get right. None of them really took that long. I'm being honest. I don't know one dish where I'm like, God damn it, I can't get it. It would have to be some sort of pastry or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know off the top of my head.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And with that, we'd like to turn to audience questions. Anyone have questions for Chef Kwame?
Don't be scared.
How are you? I'm
good.
from Brooklyn, so I really appreciate your hat.
Go Knicks.
Yes, I've been crying every day since we won.
I was there. I almost had a panic attack. Crazy.
Question for you, because you talked about the lessons that you learned over the course of your career. What advice would you give to the next generation of chefs to help them along their journey?
You know, I always say just focus on your craft, you know, like don't focus on the fame. I know it's so cliche, but you really have to be good at what you do and set that foundation and love it just for the love of the game and like the craft, you know what I mean? And that's what saved me during like that whole Shaw Bijou era when the restaurant closed. I was super depressed and I was like, I need to just get back to cooking. Like what I fell in love with was creating meals for people and people being like, that's all right. You know what I mean? Not critics and not fame or anything. So I opened up an Ethiopian restaurant and I didn't tell anybody I was a chef. Like I didn't want to do any more press or anything like that or have that pressure. Yeah. And my friend acted as the chef. And this is like right after the Shaw Bijou closed in Washington, D.C. And I was like, oh my God, it was like a media stoning, essentially. I was blasted on everywhere, like, this is what not to do. Hope he learned his lesson, you know, 10 things to not do when you're a young chef, and my face is on there like this. So I was like, I don't want to be in the media or anything, I just want to cook. And that restaurant became the fifth best restaurant on this list of restaurants in D.C. And the same critics that were like, stoning me wrote like how good this was. They just didn't know it was me.
They had no idea.
They had no idea. And it was great and I loved it. So it's like, but without that love of the craft, I could have never bounced back. If I was just doing it to be a famous chef or whatever, I would have folded, you know? But it's like you have to really focus on your craft and that passion comes and goes, but that discipline for the craft should be there, you know? So that's the advice I would give. I don't know if they'll listen, but that's what I give.
I think we had one more question. I saw a hand somewhere.
You talked about bringing your kitchen personality home, and I'd be interested to know about your leadership style in the kitchen. I feel like Gordon Ramsay kind of popularised screaming at people, calling them an idiot. You don't seem that kind of person. So what gets the best out of people? What gets the best out of people in the kitchen? How do you approach it?
Calling them an idiot? No, I'm just joking. What gets the best is being stern, but having stern, like you have to be stern, but make them feel like you care. That's why you're being stern. Like you're not bullying, you know what I mean? And I think that's when you get the best out of it. But also being there in the trenches with them, you get a lot of respect, so you can kind of mentor. You know, and I can't do that all the time anymore, but whatever new restaurant that I open, I at least spend a couple months there, like really in the kitchen, on the pass, like really sitting down, talking with the team, doing pre-shifts, looking them in their eyes. Like, I think that's really, really important. And also you have to understand people's like listening styles. Some people do want you to be like, yo, wake up, wake the fuck up. Come on, man, what's going on? And some other people want you to ask like how their day is first, or, you know, and I think you need to, it's a dance, you know, but we can't talk like that in America. Like, we cancel immediately, you know? people have phones and shit. You know what I mean? So like we can't do that anymore, and that is good because there's a lot that gets hidden behind that bravado of like hazing, like sexism and racism, and you could be like, whoa, we do this to everybody. But nah, you had a little more little inflection in your voice there. So like I'm glad that that's over with because it deters a lot of like people that are marginalized from like being in these kitchens. Yeah. So it's a dance. My leadership style is a dance, you know, but it's definitely not like what you see on TV. That would be insane. Yeah.